Hi class, this is a short video on getting started with Replit. We'll be using Replit for our integrated development environment. That means we'll be doing all of our coding in Replit. It's an online IDE, and that means that you can use it anywhere you have an internet connection and on practically any device. It's a highly regarded online platform with a very strong reputation. So go to replit.com. Up here, you'll see the links on how to sign up. Go ahead and click that and go through the sign up process. You can sign up for a free account, and that gives you an unlimited number of public REPLs. And a REPL is just simply one single software project. You'll end up with probably 50 to 75 REPLs by the end of this course. So you will want to make sure that you name your REPLs in a way that makes sense. I'll go ahead and log in here since I've got my account already. And once you do log in, it takes you to this welcome page. Then you're given a number of options. And the two that you'll probably use the most are going to be right here to either to create a REPL or to go to your REPLs here. So I'll click on My REPLs, and that takes you to a nice folder and file-based system. You'll want to create a folder for CompSci 110. When you do that, that'll let you kind of segregate your projects by course. Maybe you're going to be taking CompSci 165 or 210 in the future, and you'll want separate folders for those. I've got a 110 folder here, and you can see this is then where I'll have all of my stuff for this course. Now, to create a REPL, very straightforward and very intuitive. First, we'll just click this button over here to create REPL. We get this dialog box up here. We'll have to first pick a template, and that means what programming language are we going to use? Now, Replit is awesome. It's got Python in addition to C++, but then a whole bunch of other types. You can kind of scroll through here and just see what all those are. Now, then over here in the title, click that. Replit will give you a random set of nouns in there for a distinct REPL name, but don't use that. Instead, get into the habit of naming your REPL starting with 110 dash, and then a plain language description of what the REPL is. So like lab 1 or lab 2 or lab 3. Do it that simple, and I guarantee it'll be much easier to find your work rather than trying to hunt through a bunch of REPLs with a bunch of vague names. So keep it public. When you create your username, just don't use your real name. All of your code here actually is public, provided that they know your username. So if your username is kept secret, then no one's going to know where your code is. Then you just click on Create REPL, and after a few moments of whirring and purring, then you get this representation here. And this looks like a standard integrated development environment, regardless of what platform or programming language you use. It's always in three parts. The left part here is some type of a navigational structure. And sure enough, here we see just a typical folder and file structure. We'll be using this file here called main.cpp. And then here in the middle, this is our editor window. This is where we will actually edit our code. And then over here to the right is a console. And this is an interactivity window where we will interact with our program. We'll interact with it a couple of ways, one by providing input, the other by receiving and observing output. Now, presuming that you've got code written in here, then it's very easy to compile it and run it. You just press this big giant run button. And you'll see here in the results, we get some things printed out, and you'll see right there that the words hello world are output. I'm going to just do some quick cleanup here. And you'll see that this code here is just identical to the code that you need for lab 1, which is to create a REPL, put this code in it, get it running, and then just simply take hello world and change that to your full name. And you can run that again. Make sure that you don't change the double quotes. Don't change the \n. We'll get to what all those mean. But just change the yellow text, and that'll do you for your very first lab. Now, when we do code like this, you have to get your code to me somehow. And the way that we do that is by invitation. You will invite me to join as a collaborator for your REPL. So that's how that will work. That way, when I'm grading your programs, I can actually go live into your code and see exactly what was going on and give you feedback about that. I can also edit your code and leave comments and make suggestions on improvements and things like that. Now, I'm going to first demonstrate what not to submit, and it's this right here. Do not copy and paste the address bar URL because that's the wrong link. Instead, you need to go over here to invite, press invite one time, and then this is where we will invite a collaborator. Now then down here, activate this private join link by clicking on the toggle button. And then here is the join link. You can press copy join link. It gives you the message that it copied that then to the clipboard. And then when it's time to submit your assignment, you'll just simply submit that exact URL in your Canvas submission. And that gives me the exact URL I need to collaborate with you rather than just seeing your work and running it. So remember that trick. Now, often I will give you a REPL to start with. I'll give you some starting code, and you will need to make a copy then of that REPL and edit that copy that you get. So I wanted to go over that process next. First, you can go back to your listing of REPLs just by clicking this icon right here and going to My REPLs. And I'll go back to the 110 folder, and then you'll see here in this week's assignments that here is a REPL that you need to fork. And the definition of forking is simply making a copy of a REPL, and that copy then stays in your account, and you can edit it then however you want. Again, that process is called forking. And the way to do it is that when you come across a link to a REPL that I'm going to give you, you can go ahead and click on it. It gives you this here, a presentation here. Now, it'll be a little bit different in my presentation. You'll see a big button up here called Fork, and you just press that, Fork. Alternately, you can go over here and press the 3 vertical dots and then press fork. And the way we got that was by clicking on this down arrow here that gives the REPL's metadata, these 3 buttons, and then fork. So either of those 2 methods will fork it. Once you do fork it, then you're given the opportunity to rename it, and you will probably want to rename it something that'll make sense. So I'll call this fork 2. How about that? Fork it, and then it will whir and purr for a minute and then come up with that copy that it just made. So that is how we fork a REPL. Now, I wanted to go over one other thing too concerning Replit, and that is that Replit will record all of your keystrokes, including what time the keystrokes were made. And this is of great help to me because it will let me know if you have been editing your code up until the deadline, and hopefully after the deadline, we'll see no more editing. So I do want to remind you that I do see edits after I see all of the edits. So I will require you to stop editing your REPL after the assignment's due date and time. You might be tempted to keep working, but Replit's going to report to me every keystroke. and the time every keystroke was made. So don't even play there. If you want to continue to edit your code after the submission deadline, but it hasn't been graded yet, well, just fork it and then keep working on that fork copy. Meanwhile, that original is what you submit then to Canvas. So you can find that out here in the history, way down at the bottom, that I press history. And I'm going to just start to make some changes here. And there's a little bit of history. And if I click now on history, you can see that I can take this slider bar back and see every keystroke that was entered, including the time and date that it was actually entered. So REPL does give that reporting capability. Be mindful of that. And again, do not edit your REPL past the deadline, regardless of what time zone you're in, because Replit will report that to me. I will give a 0 if there is editing after the deadline, because that's not fair. The other students stopped working when the assignment was due, and so it's only fair that everyone stop working. If there's any questions about this, please post it on up in the discussion board, and I'd be glad to hop in and answer. One quick note about our free accounts with Replit is that at the free level, you get an unlimited number of REPLs, but they're all public. You can have one private REPL and no one can find that, but everything else will be public. And that's just the way REPL is designed. However, if you go up to the next level and have a paid account like I do, then you get unlimited public REPLs and unlimited private REPLs. So if you know you're going to be continuing on as a developer and maybe as a computer science major or something related, you'll want to strongly consider getting the upgraded membership so you have access to more privacy features and access really to much more code. All right, I hope this overview has helped you get started, and I hope it'll help you finish those 2 assignments regarding REPL this week. Okay, gang, good luck, everybody. We'll see you online.